What's going on, everybody? Excuse me. Long time no hear. I want to thank you guys for sticking with me. It's been kind of rough here. The COVID numbers are skyrocketing here in my state. We have broken several records, but I'll get to that on another stream. It's been rough. Staffing, working doubles and hoping that you have relief. And it's just been pretty rough. But like I said, I'll save that for another one. This is something that's kind of near and dear to my heart. But before we get to that, you guys please hit the like button. Try to help me out with the algorithm. Every little bit counts. Hit the likes. If you like what I'm doing, hit the subscribe. If you have any recommendations, anything you want me to cover, I appreciate that. And, the way I feel about, you guys' recommendations is I can only put it one way.
Excellent!
So that's the way I feel about it. Every time I get a nice little comment, every time somebody brings me something, that either is supportive or is just something that's going to lead me in another direction for me to learn a little bit more about what we're going through, or you want me to look at certain doctors, whatever their recommendations are, check their credentials, whatever the case may be, I'm happy to do it. I just like spending time with you guys and trying to think responsibly about problems that we encounter, because that's what we're supposed to do as men. We're supposed to look at these things and we are supposed to evaluate them in a sensible way, use the scientific method, and go where the data points us. You're not supposed to, put in, something that's gonna, in your Google search that's gonna point you towards the negative algorithm. Excuse me. So let's get on with it. Like I said, this is something that is very near and dear to my heart, and that is, how a lot of medical professionals and people posing as medical professionals are giving medical advice. And this is more so towards the medical professionals who have certain political ideations and or affiliations, and they tend to let their medical advice lean towards that instead of towards the science. And this article in particular states that, the COVID vaccine and treatment misinformation is medical malpractice. It should be punished. Yet doctors spreading lies are facing almost no consequences for what they're doing. Nearly every state's medical board is failing to hold them accountable. And this is something I've said, over and over and over. The nursing board should be doing the same thing, because patient education and medical advice is a serious thing. Everybody always brings up the Tuskegee experiment. And, that was an ethical situation where you had people who knew that what they were doing was ethically wrong and irresponsible, yet they continue to do it for the sake of money and prestige. Okay. So here you have people doing pretty much the same thing. They're putting this information out there, and it's like, hey, I'm just putting it out there. I'm not responsible for what I put out there. You can't hold me responsible. I'm just putting this out here so people can think. I just want people to think, but that's not what they're really trying to do. What they're trying to do is they're trying to instill doubt. Okay. So doubt is a powerful thing. If you make people doubt the government, if you make people doubt, the established order, then what you're doing is you're basically trying to create a situation where disorder will come about. Okay, That's fine, but out of that disorder, what's going to emerge from that? What metamorphosis is this disorder going to bring about that's going to be beneficial to the people that you claim to care about, i.e., Joe Rogan. He feels he has no responsibility for just talking, but your words matter. What you say, and I'll bring it. Tasha K here. Tasha K felt like her words didn't matter. She knew that what she was saying was a complete and utter lie. She knew that she was basically causing Cardi B harm and possibly trying to destroy her image. She even touted what she did with R. Kelly and trying to destroy Steve Harvey and other people. And her whole career has been about not only spreading gospel, but trying to destroy people. So you have to wonder what's the motivation for these people. What's inside them? What's deep inside them that motivates them to try to sway others in a direction that is not beneficial to them? So let me get off my box, and let's take a look at this article. Okay. So, again, the COVID vaccine and treatment misinformation, medical malpractice, it should be punished. Is medical malpractice, it should be punished. Yet doctors spreading lies are facing almost no consequences for what they're doing. Nearly every state medical board is failing to hold them accountable. I covered the physician in several states now, but you guys go back and you can check those out. But the one in Houston, she just took it upon herself to use alternative forms of treatment that weren't recommended by any medical board in any state, not in the United States. And some places were using them in other places, but they were also recommending that their people not use these things, but people are still going out and using them based off of misinformation that's being spread on Fox News, on the One News Network, which is going to be defunct here pretty soon because people are starting to hold these people accountable. Hundreds of doctors came out, PhDs and medical doctors, who came out and talked about Joe Rogan's interview with the snake oil salesman that he had on. Yet another snake oil salesman. I mean, I'm gonna have to keep up with the numbers of snake oil salesmen who get free representation to millions of people on the Joe Rogan podcast. And you know what? I used to like Joe Rogan. I mean, I still like some things that Joe Rogan, advocates for and gives a voice on his platform. He's been a long time, cannabis supporter, as well as some psychedelic treatments for psychiatric issues. Which he still has an ethical responsibility for what he puts out. And there are certain people I would not bring on my platform if I had millions of people, in order to sway millions of people's opinion to think, well, this might be good. I equate it to people selling you a turd that they just painted with gold plating, So they put a little sugar on top of it, a little bit of worth on top of it, and then they sell you a turd, but it's still a turd. Okay? And I'm finding that the majority of people out here, we say, well, we should trust the people to be able to discern this information. Before you say that, I want you to look at what the average education level, the average reading level is for Americans, the average comprehension level, the average time that the average American pays attention to a story. Before you start to say that we should just put any and all information out there. That's why that's why the government keeps certain things secret, because you don't need to know everything. People's ability to be able to understand that information and to be able to properly evaluate, and do risk assessments on what would happen if we took this away. What would happen if we didn't have this situation? This whatever practice that they're doing started for a reason. It may have started by in a nefarious type of situation, but now it's actually doing good for people. Okay, through time, it has evolved to a situation or an apparatus that is actually beneficial. Hell, hospitals used to be almost a house of horrors. If you took one of those doctors from those times and brought them up to here, they will be amazed. But it wasn't a house of horrors because they wanted it to be. It was because they were ignorant and were still learning and manufacturing a better way of taking care of patients through scientific advancements, which most people now, if you listen to, the conversations, that has gone by the wayside. Hell, I have people coming into my comments talking crazy to me and calling me, all kinds of names, which, hey, I appreciate that too. I need a good laugh every single day, but books are there for a reason. This Google search can be a dangerous thing because it can point you in the wrong direction and it can point you in the right direction. It's the difference between knowing what to search for, knowing if it even exists, things of that nature. But you have to have some degree of education in order for you to get to the places where you need to be. And that's all I'm saying, people. I'm not trying to put anybody down. I'm just trying to, make it interesting, so that we can all, sit back and enjoy the fact that we have the information that we need in order to get through this thing that Prince calls life. You know what I'm saying? So let's move on. Okay. So only 12 state medical boards, just 17%, reported taking disciplinary action against doctors facing complaints of disseminating false or misleading information. Now, it is a problem. By that statement alone, it is a problem, and it's a bigger problem than that. This article was written on January the 8th. I've been sitting on a lot of information trying to basically, stack up some things so I can get some shows out. But the doctor-patient relationship starts at birth and extends across one's life. When patients are honest with their doctors, better decisions can be made about their health. They expect the same honesty in return, and indeed, the Hippocratic Oath demands as much of physicians. Underscoring this important responsibility throughout the COVID-19 pandemic, national polls have found that most Americans trust medical professionals to give them accurate information about the viruses. Okay. Now I watched another YouTuber the other night that was basically going through all of the covert operations that the government has used to basically drug people, create weapons and whatnot. So she's talking about DARPA and a lot of other things. Those are different organizations. They have different ethical standards. You have to understand that the military and the CIA and all those people have a different charter. Okay. And you cannot lump them into the same group as medical professionals who are out here, who went to school to help people, who want to make a difference, who want to do research, who want to evolve the practice of science, of medicine. So keep that in mind. So, I mean, I'm going to stop for a minute and see if it's going to actually give you the Hippocratic Oath. Okay, here's the Hippocratic Oath. I swear to fulfill, to the best of my ability and judgment, this covenant. I will respect the hard-won scientific gains of those physicians in whose steps I walk, and gladly share such knowledge as is mine with those who are to follow. I will apply for the benefit of the sick all measures that are required, avoiding those twin traps of overtreatment and therapeutic nihilism. I will remember that there is art to medicine as well as science, and that warmth, sympathy, and understanding may outweigh the surgeon's knife or the chemist's drug. I will not be ashamed to say, I know not, nor will I fail to call in my colleagues when the skills of another are needed for a patient's recovery. I will respect the privacy of my patients, for their problems are not disclosed to me that the world may know. Most especially must I tread with care in matters of life and death. It is given me to save a life. All thanks, but it may also be within my power to take a life. This awesome responsibility must be faced with great humbleness and awareness of my own frailty. Above all, I must not play at God. I will remember that. I do not treat a fever chart, a cancerous growth, but a sick human being whose illness may affect the person's family and economic stability. My responsibility includes these related problems. If I am to care adequately for the sick, I will prevent disease whenever I can, for prevention is preferable to cure. I will remember that I remain a member of society with special obligations to all my fellow human beings, those sound of mind and body, as well as the infirm. I do not violate this oath. May I enjoy life and art, respected while I live and remembered with affection thereafter. May I always act so as to preserve the finest traditions of my calling, and may I long experience the joy of healing those who seek my help. And this was written in 1964 by Louis Lasagna, academic dean of the School of Medicine at Tufts University and used in many medical schools today. Okay. I took a similar oath when I was in the military as a hospital corpsman. It is similar to the Hippocratic Oath and was actually derived by the Hippocratic Oath. So that being said, I felt like you guys probably would like to know the oath that they take. Okay. All right. And I would do the national polls, but you guys can go ahead and hit that link and check that out. Nah, I'll go ahead and do it. Okay. All right. Almost. How much of the time do you think that you can trust _ to do what is right for you and your family? And the pink is, well, what is that? Fuchsia? Yeah, I'll just say that color is, almost all the time. And the gray is almost none of the time. So as you can see, nurses have the highest trust factor in this situation, where we find ourselves caring for people. Okay. Doctors have 70%. Nurses have 79%. Pharmacists have 75%. And hospital executives have the lowest. I'll let you guys figure that out. But they're the money guys. Okay. So I may do something on that one too. I may keep that. Okay. So all right, we've gone past the national polls. So let's go to, but a vocal minority of doctors are undermining this relationship and taking advantage of the public's trust by intentionally spreading COVID misinformation and disinformation. And I might say by doing so, they are breaking their oath to serve the public faithfully and to disseminate accurate information and to care for people. So by spreading this misinformation, you are putting people in harm's way. All right? You're instilling doubt in an entire system that functions and relies on the public trust. Okay? Okay, from making false claims about vaccines to offering to sign medically unnecessary mask exemptions in exchange for payment. So what they're doing, they're not doing this because they believe in it. They're doing it because there's money in it. Okay? These disinformation doctors are amplifying lies and often profiting from a cottage industry of social media posts, websites, live and virtual conferences, and podcasts. In the process, they are weaponizing their white coats and putting patients, the public, and their profession at risk. Across the country, physicians have falsely claimed that COVID vaccines change people's DNA, that the vaccines have been proved ineffective at preventing COVID, and that the vaccine has killed more people than the disease itself. Yet these doctors are facing no consequences for what they're doing. Data shows that nearly every state medical board and state-sanctioned government agency with the authority to license, investigate, discipline, and regulate medical doctors is failing to hold these doctors accountable. Okay. That's another one. You guys might want to check this link out too. The overlooked reasons so many rural Americans don't trust the COVID vaccine. I may cover that as well. Matter of fact, let me just put that at the top. All right, let me go back. Nope, won't let me. Okay. All right. In July, the Federation of State Medical Boards, which represents the nation's 71 state medical boards, warned that physicians who generate and spread COVID-19 vaccine misinformation or disinformation are risking disciplinary action by state medical boards, including having their license suspended or even revoked. In December, the Federation shared survey findings showing that 2/3 of state medical boards had seen an increase in complaints related to licensee dissemination of false or misleading information. Okay, but only 12 of the medical boards, just 17%, reported taking disciplinary action against those disseminating false or misleading information. This lack of accountability is all the more troubling because, as the Medical Board Federation noted in its July statement, doctors have an elevated responsibility and expectation for truthfulness. Due to their specialized knowledge and training, the Federation said licensed physicians possess a high degree of public trust and therefore have a powerful platform in society, whether they recognize it or not. Okay, and it's showing Fauci here talking about people weaponizing lies, which is true. People talking about, you got, what's his name up there? Crap. It'll come to me. Anyway, the doctor that always in the congressional hearings is trying to question Fauci's credibility and all that. He's not even, when you get your medical training, you get, whatever you're in is what you're in. And then you have a specialty. Okay. So you have your basic knowledge and then you have a specialty. All right. Dr. Fauci is specialized. I mean, super specialized. You got another guy over here who's basically reading from, and trying to understand basic medical knowledge, and basically only reading to try to deflect and to, cause people to mistrust Dr. Fauci, based on I'm sure he has multiple roles. I'm sure he's dealing with multiple organizations in order to make sure that the research is proper. Some of that may be under a classified status. Some of it may be for public consumption. But even when you disseminate it for public consumption, the public doesn't have an educational level that is suitable for them to get the raw information. So you have to package and put that information in what we call layman's terms so that the average person can understand what you're talking about. So when you find that these misinformation peddlers come out and they try to throw big words at you and mumbo jumbo you into a state of confusion, then you have to realize what's happening. And these two guys are under medical boards, and really, tell you the truth, Dr. Fauci should, probably form a complaint against this guy, because this guy is still a doctor and he is still maintains a medical license. That needs to be pulled, whether he's in Congress disseminating misinformation or wherever. You're still under the same covering and the same expectations as every other doctor as far as being truthful. And we're seeing that that's being thrown by the wayside for people's political affiliations in order to get, whoever they want in office, or to keep the people that they want in office. And you have to ask the bigger questions: to what end? And if we get to a point to where no one trusts the medical profession, no one trusts any immunizations, although immunizations have been proven for years and years and years to protect people. All of these people just start, not trusting any medicines or any medical providers or medical professionals. What is going to be the product of that? And I can tell you what it's going to be. It's going to be mayhem. It's going to be mayhem, and it's going to be plague level sickness out here. And people are going to go back to using witchy poo cures and oats and herbs. We're already starting to see this in the Black community as it is. You got everybody out here, drinking sea moss and all kinds of other concoctions. And, contrary to some of these people's beliefs, I mean, when you go to school, you are taught about alternative medicines that work. Okay. Not the ones that are out here that they're selling you so that you'll think that you'll lose weight in 3-4 days and all that. Those are usually laxatives. They give you a little stimulant in it, which is, pretty much caffeine. Energy drinks are caffeine and sugar, but I digress. I'm going all over the place, but you get what I'm saying. Okay. Okay. So doctors didn't just happen upon this exalted place of social trust and deference. It was built through hard work over long periods of time, work that is now being jeopardized. Before the 20th century, there was no effective medical licensing, and no regulation of medical practice or medical education. Hence the proliferation of snake oil salesmen out here saying that they could cure any ailment, and with some kind of liniment or salve or some pills with ground up a root in it or whatever. Okay. So that's why the practicing came about, and that's why you had people who were regulating the practice and only allowing people who had the proper education to come out and actually care for people. Okay, so this changed with the influential 1910 Flexner Report, excuse me, whose sweeping recommendations led to policies and professionalized, standardized, and elevated the practice of medicine in the United States. More than 100 years later, we find ourselves in an exceptionally polarized time when trust in the media and the government is failing. In stark contrast, in the mid-20th century, ideal of the trusted physician, famously captured by Norman Rockwell paintings, a group of fringe doctors are confusing and misleading millions of Americans. In doing so, they threaten to erode the institution of medicine as a credible and unbiased source of information. To help state medical boards in their support of patients and defense of medicine, the De Beaumont Foundation, a public health charity focused on state and local public health, and the grassroots advocacy group No License for Disinformation organizations we both led, have released a report, Disinformation Doctors Licensed to Mislead, which outlines specific steps that can be taken to hold offending physicians accountable. First, medical boards must increase transparency and proactively investigate and discipline misconduct. Today, complaints referred to investigation are confidential, and those that are closed without action generally have no public record. All the while, the physician continues to practice and patients are none the wiser. It is unacceptable that investigations regularly take months or even years. In the age of social media, investigations need to be expedited to prevent misinformation from being amplified. In a time when Americans can agree on little, they are nearly unanimous in the belief that doctors should be held accountable for spreading misinformation. In a national poll conducted in December by Morning Consult, 91% of American adults said doctors don't have the right to intentionally spread misinformation, and 78% support disciplinary action such as warnings, fines, or license suspensions, or revocation for those who do. Disinformation is a public health threat that existed long before this pandemic, and has the power to proliferate long after. Unless state medical boards begin to hold these physicians accountable, the trust of the entire medical profession is in jeopardy. And more important, so are the lives of millions of Americans. Okay. So with that being said, you see that this is very, very important, and it needs to be taken care of. People who are not educated, who don't understand the importance of the information that they put out, i.e. Joe Rogan, i.e. Fox News and some of these other people, Dan Bongino and all of those people, all these people, they have nobody over them that basically can do anything. You might be able to sue them, in court, but then they'll say they're entertainers. You can't do that. I'm an entertainer, Joe Rogan, the same thing. I'm a podcaster. I just put people up here and I just let them talk, So, we have to realize that words have power. Words have meaning, Propaganda and misinformation have had impact throughout history, A pretty voice on a radio, tried to get U.S. soldiers to give up, to not fight, become pacifists, in World War II, also in Vietnam, also in the Korean War. They've always used it. And that is using our, young men's loneliness and whatnot, against them, and listening to that pretty voice, listening to music, in order to sway their feelings to make them move in a different direction. Well, they're doing the same thing to you out here by giving you misinformation to make you doubt what you actually can go look up yourself. And if you look at these things from an open mind, because I read everything. I read the trash and I read the good stuff. But the only reason why I can disseminate between the two is because I've had years of schooling, not to mention years of practicing. So on the military side and on the civilian side. So, there didn't used to be this type of stuff out here. If you did this in the past, you would be ostracized and you'd be thrown out, People out here openly taking credit for things that they haven't done when there's, the average person doesn't know that, where your name comes on that paper, that research paper that's being, submitted for publication. It matters. If you're fifth on the list, you were just a contributor and a minor contributor at that. If you're second, third, all of that matters. So people can't go out here and say, I created the mRNA vaccine, and I'm going to go on Joe Rogan and I'm going to tell everybody that it's a killer. Why'd you work on something that kills people? Why are you out here making claims about something that it's not reflected in the papers that you're in, that you wrote, that you published? Now you've got your entire community looking at you like you're a kook and not wanting to work with you because you're out here, saying crazy stuff, So this probably should be a part of my snake oil, shows. I don't know. You guys tell me what you think. But anyway, this is why this is as important as it is. And when these people come to you and they bring that information, and it's false, you know what they deserve. They only deserve your laughter. They only deserve your endless laughter because it's undeserving of respectable discourse. So, that's what they deserve. But I'm going to close this one out. I hope you guys enjoyed it. As always, you guys are the best. Love you guys. Everybody stay safe out there. Try not to get it, and if you get it, hopefully you're immunized. And if you're not, I hope you're good with your decision. Don't whine about it. Don't cry about it. Suck it up, endure it, and don't go to the hospital because you made a choice. You made a choice to listen to somebody who is not a medical professional instead of listening to people who are trying to mitigate the circumstances, mitigate the worst part of the disease. Don't bog down the system if you don't believe in the system, and don't whine about it. Don't wait until you're right there near death and then, say, oh, well, I should have took it. Nope. Stand by your decision. Be a man, be a woman, stand up to it, get your picture of Trump, and whoever else was the guy that made your information, I want you to hug that picture real tight while you're gasping for breath. That's all I can say, and of course I'm joking, but hopefully everybody listens to the information. Hopefully nobody's getting sick, but if you do get sick, take care. Do what you got to do. Make sure your vitamin D's up. Make sure you're not deficient. You take your vitamin C. You make sure you get plenty of fluids. And make sure you're wearing your mask. Make sure you're staying away from people. As far as social distancing is concerned. And hopefully everybody's will stay safe. Thanks for hanging out with me, guys, and until the next time. Oh, and girls.
I feel like a motherless child alone ways from home.